Hey guys, before we start the episode, I just want to make a little announcement. Starting with this video, I'm going to be posting my videos on Manic Expression. So, check them out there. The site also has a bunch of awesome content creators, which you should totally check out as well. So, I'll be posting there in addition to wherever else I post my videos. And, that's about it. So, on to the review. Welcome to How to Fix It. During this past summer, I looked at the box office flop that was Green Lantern, but I want to talk about another hero that hasn't had the best cinematic experience lately. Superman. Sure, the first two Superman films from the 70s were great, but the third and fourth outings weren't. But I'm not here to talk about those. Truth be told, I haven't seen them very recently. Superman's return to film after those flops of the 80s was meant to be in 2006 with Superman Returns. That film completely writes the bad Superman movies out of continuity, so we can just move on from there, right? Nope! Zack Snyder, the brilliant filmmaker behind the big screen adaptation of Watchmen, decided to reboot Superman. And that's what we're looking at today. Man of Steel. And I know I'm late to the party, but I like to avoid watching the really bad films that ruin my favorite superheroes until I absolutely have to watch it. So, up and away? This film serves as the new origin story to Superman. Kal-El is the first naturally born Kryptonian baby born in years. He is born to Jor-El, who is played by Russell Crowe in this movie, who thankfully does not sing at all. Jor-El tries to convince the government that the planet is about to explode, but they don't listen to him. Because, why would the government care about the planet being in danger? The council meeting is interrupted by Not Zod, who I refuse to call Zod because that would be insulting to both Terrence Stamp and Doug Walker. And the story goes as we all know it. Jor-El puts baby Kal-El into a rocket and launches him to Earth, while Not Zod and Not Ursa and Not Non get put into the Phantom Zone. Kal-El is adopted by the Kents after he lands in Smallville, Kansas, and is named Clark. He grows up, and when he learns of his heritage, is told to hide his powers, which I saw in a comic once, which was making a parody of the what would the neighbors think mentality of England. So why it's like that in this movie baffles me. Jonathan Kent, Clark's adoptive father, is killed during a tornado because he forbids Clark to use his powers to do good for the town. And Clark has to live with the guilt that he could have saved his father, but he was too pig-headed to let himself be saved. Clark, played by Henry Cavill, becomes a nomad, doing anonymous good deeds, which is probably the most Superman-like thing he'll do in this movie. The military finds a Kryptonian ship, which Clark sneaks onto and puts in his super special crystal, and here's a message from Jor-El. Like in the old Superman movies, except stupider. Jor-El tells him what we saw in the first half hour, and Lois Lane, played by Amy Adams, sneaks into the ship too, getting injured by the security system. Clark saves her and she wants to write a story about him, so she tracks him down. Not Zod and his crew escape the Phantom Zone, so they're flying around space looking for worlds to conquer, and it just so happens that the ship that Clark activated sent a distress call out to Zod. Good job, Clark! You are literally responsible for everything that happens for the rest of this film. Zod shows up with a crappy version of the Genesis device from Star Trek, and Superman has to save the world while wearing the stupidest costume I've seen since the black outfit from Death and Return of Superman. At least he doesn't have a mullet this time. Well, I can't say anything bad against the acting, and the effects were great, especially when Clark discovered his powers. I will admit that was a very impressive scene. And I'll admit the scenes on Krypton were pretty good. I like the Kryptonian armor, but I'm a sucker for stuff like that. What didn't work? Oh, everything else. I am not a fan of these dark and gritty reboots Hollywood keeps giving us. What happened to the campy and funny Superman who ran around in bright blue and red tights and gave us hope for humanity? Instead, we get this. But I should have expected this, though. It's modern DC. The same people who think this is how you create a cinematic universe. And also, the costume. Where is the red underwear over the pants looking part? That is the crux in the costume. Color balance is key with costumes, and also, the murky blue and red do not help the costume. Oh, and the biggest issue ever. Superman kills Zod by snapping his neck! Not to mention all the senseless destruction in this movie. I know that in superhero movies you gotta destroy a few buildings, but this is ridiculous. And the snapping the neck thing. What the hell? Superman doesn't do that. That would be like in the next Batman movie, giving Batman a friggin' Gatling gun and letting him go to town on his rogues gallery. He just doesn't do that. Remember the Richard Donner Superman movies? At least the first two? I mentioned them at the start of the video if you don't remember. Do that! Those movies were good. They were campy and cheesy, but they were enjoyable. Unlike this movie. And while you're at it, change the goddamn costume. Make it look like the regular one from the comics. The only time I'd accept it looking any different is if they were doing a film adaptation of Superman Red Son, because that's an awesome story. And that costume looks awesome. All in all, stop making gritty reboots of superheroes who aren't meant to be dark and gritty. I just want my campy superheroes back. And that was Man of Steel. God, that was a terrible experience. Let's hope 2015 is a better year for superhero movies. Anyway, that's all the time we have for today. If you'd like to see more of how to fix it, you can hit the subscribe button down there, and if you'd like, you can also leave a comment in the box under that. And if you like this video, share it to your friends and share it around. See you next time.